Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends, as this video is brought to you by drroto.com.
Good morning, everyone. This is Johnny Danger and Adam White here with In the Cup on behalf of drroto.com. I am coming to you from the cab of my truck in Elmhurst, Illinois, in front of a Target. How are you today, Adam?
I'm doing great. Coming to you from my living room per usual, and hopefully we can identify some good targets this week.
I think we can. Let's talk a little bit about last week. We kind of talked ourselves off, Mr. Knapp, for ownership reasons. That didn't work out, but I still doubled up all of my money, and it was a nice, profitable day for me, thanks to your guy you told me to pick, Valimaki.
Sami Valimaki, he actually got back to, after being, I think, 4 down into the final round, he got back to even with Jake Knapp, and then ended up kind of losing it down the stretch because Knapp got hot again. But yeah, heck of a value pick there at 67 last week. Definitely won you some money. I wish I would have listened to myself, but I think I'm learning. I'm learning that during the show, my instincts are good. These value guys are good. I think I picked Cam Champ as a pivot off of Jake Knapp last week. We outthought ourselves on that one, and he obviously had the right game for it. But I think this week is going to be very unpredictable. So let's have some fun.
Well, let's do it. Tell me about the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches. Where is the Palm?
Right.
I don't even know what the Palm Beaches mean, man. What is that?
I'm guessing it's near Palm Beach, but no, it's at the same course, PGA National, one of the most difficult on tour. It has changed names, so I even did a double take looking at it on the schedule at first. Like, what? Did they get a new event here? It's that one. Not a lot of top players this week. The course is extremely difficult. It's always one of the top 5 or 6 on tour as far as difficulty level. My cat's trying to eat a box here. Cut it out. But no, you really want to get guys who can finish high this week. So we talk about how you want guys that score, that create a lot of DraftKings points. This week, I think more than most, you're trying to identify the guys that are going to finish high on the leaderboard, which sounds basic, but there's not going to be a lot of birdies out there this week. So we got to get guys who can avoid the bogeys, avoid the hazards. It's about a 7,100 yard course, a little over that, but it's at sea level, so it plays a little bit longer. We've only got 3 par 5s. It's a par 71. Average score, honestly, it's normally no more than like 12 or 13 under par. It's really difficult to get hot here. It's going to set up pretty interesting. So I think some guys who have good course history are going to draw some ownership. But really, it's a very erratic week. You really can't predict it. The stat that stands out to me is that the last 2 years of the top 20 in ownership, only 6 have finished top 15 in the event. 6 out of 20. Dang, so yeah. we gotta pick our spots here. I think we have some good fade candidates and some good under the radar plays we can look at.
I dig it. Well, let's jump right in. Let's talk about Rory McIlroy right at the very top. Obviously, he is going to be the highest projected ownership guy. But also, I'm just looking at his projection scores on Data Golf and on Pater, and he's like 20% higher in his projected score of the week than the next closest guy. To me, that sounds like a cash game lock that we have to play and probably a GPP straight up fade. Or do you just have to plug him in and find your value elsewhere?
No, it's pretty rare that I would say a player is close to a must play that's this highly priced relative to the rest of the field. But Rory is that player this week for me. I think there's a very high likelihood he finishes top 5 and pretty good likelihood that he wins. You're right. His projections, it's a low scoring week and he's projected 13, 14 points ahead of like Cam Young, who's number 2. If there was a great secondary candidate that allowed us to kind of balance our lineups out toward the mid-range, I'd be all over it, but I just don't see it, man. I think Rory is definitely a must-play in cash games, and I'm going to go overweight in tournaments because there's just nobody else that gives you the confidence that they're going to contend like he will.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at his betting odds, man, and it's like 41% chance of winning, 71% top 5, 83% top 10. I mean, the next closest person is 8% to win, 35% top 5. I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah, I'm looking at the same thing. That's what makes him a must play for me this week. You got to look at each week individually. Like the weeks where Scheffler is going to be highest owned, highest price. He's highest priced by a while. It's like you can see a path for Scheffler having a crappy putting week and not needing him in your lineups. I just don't see that for Rory this week. Even if he putts poorly, he drives it so well out here that I think is going to give him a huge advantage. And he's also a great iron player. The thing he's not great at is wedge play relative to the top other players. And there's not going to be a lot of that this week. Even as long as he hits it, you're still going to have, 125 yard plus shots into most of these par 4 greens, and you can take advantage of the par 5. So, yeah, Rory is for me number one with the bullet. We can talk about anybody else you might want to look at up here up top, but what's Henley, Fitz, Kim?
I'm not really interested in the 10K outside of Rory. The next person I'm even considering in that group is the mid to high 9Ks. I'm looking at guys like Eric Cole and Benny Ann.
Yeah, I think Cole is going to be highly owned. He's the guy that I'm most interested in down here as well. Benny Ann for me is going to be a fade this week. As much as I like him and I've been on him in the past, I don't like where his ownership is trending relative to, I think, the chance that he misses the cut. A couple pivots here I like, and ownership on Danny Berger is looking pretty high. That's actually making me a little interested in kind of fading him. And initially I was interested, but looking at fading him and going to somebody else. Like Shane Lowry, he doesn't really belong up here as far as his level of play for the last, year or so. So he's an auto fade for me as well. But we going back to our guy Coco Danger.
I mean, I got him in the top 10 this week. I think he's a solid play. I like him there.
Coco's my pivot here. Keith Mitchell has good course history here. He played well last week after a rough start. He's a good driver of the golf ball. Mm-hmm. Berger's going to get some ownership. On and Eric Cole are going to get some ownership. So I think
who's sitting at almost like 60% of their ownership, who's really sticking out like a sore thumb to me right now.
In 9K or down below?
In the 9K range, Sung J M.
Yeah, he's a fade for me. He's got great course history here. He got his first victory here, but for me, his game has just looked so shaky, and it's a difficult course to come into and sort of find it. Even if it's a course that has been comfortable, it's still very painful.
This sounds so familiar, Adam, to what you told me about Hideki 2 weeks ago.
He showed a lot more trends than Sungjae is. And at his best, Sungjae could not hold Hideki's jockstrap. Not even close. Like, Hideki is a world-class player, bona fide top 5 in the world. Like, his best, Sungjae is a consistent, I'm a top 10, top 15, top 20 guy, but he's not. His ceiling is nowhere near where Hideki's is.
Fair enough. Well, before we drop out of the 9K, I just have to say that this lighting and angle makes my beard look very nice.
It does. I was admiring that. Even in the little the thumbprint size screen here, it's quite beautiful.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Also, it was 71 at my house yesterday, Adam, and I'm sitting in Elmhurst, Illinois, and it's currently 21.
Wow. Sounds like you're in the Midwest, buddy.
Yeah, that sounds accurate. All right, let's get down into the high end of the 8K, unless there was anything else you wanted to mention in the 9s. A couple of names in here that kind of pop up that we've talked about several times. I think a fade for both of us. Generally speaking, somebody's rookie win, we're going to stay away because that dude probably went out and partied hard last week. So let's fade Jake Knapp. And let's talk about two guys that we talked about quite a bit so far this year, in Sepp Straka and Steven Jaeger.
Ooh, yeah. Jaeger is the guy who's looking to be highest owned in this range outside of Straka. I think Straka popped here a couple years ago, so I think people are going to be on him. But yeah, they're both looking like pretty highly owned options here this week. It's almost like most of these guys, unless I see like the trend with Eric Cole, he lost in a playoff last year. He's played great damn near every week since, just on a roll. I haven't seen that really with these two guys. So Jaeger is trending well. He played great last week. It's such a different golf course, though, that I'm going to fade him. And Straka is very inconsistent as far as week to week. So I'm going to bank on that volatility leading him to either a missed cut or a poor performance on the weekend if he makes it. Because 17% is what I'm seeing on ownership, and that's not a pill I'm willing to swallow right there.
All right, let's see if I can get you out of this, ever-growing list of fades you've started our show with today, and go to two of my favorite plays, Bo Hostler, Luke List this week.
Yeah, so we've got Rory, Cole, and Connors as guys that we actually like. If you're playing Rory, the reason I wasn't super interested in the 9K range is because it really makes you thin down below. So I do. Do I do it? I don't know if I like Luke List, man. I can't do it. Bo Hostler, though.
All right,
Bo
just
Hostler's,
screenshot me your lineup like 5 minutes before,
yeah,
and let me see if List is in it or not, and then I'll make some adjustments.
you'll do a last minute fade, last minute pivot
That's
based
right.
on that. Yeah. No, I like Bo Hostler in this 8K range more than anybody else. And the other guy that's kind of interesting to me, I think Mathieu Pavon is going to have quite a bit of ownership as well. So those three guys in the double digits, Jaeger, Pavon, Strzok are right here at 888, 887, 86. Those three guys in a row. Those are all three going to be phased for me. Like Pavon has shown great form, but this course asks different questions of your game. It forces you to kind of plod your way around, not get too aggressive on your approach shots, and just pick your spots. And I don't know that he is that type of guy. And his ownership, with what we just talked about, 6 of the last 20 in the last 2 years, actually finishing top 15. Not going to do it. So I would go down to Alex Noren. Honestly, he's a grinder. He's not super long off the tee, but he keeps it in play with that cut. And he's a dude I'm going to bank on this week having an above average putting week, and I think at the end of the week he'll be right there for a top 20. So my guys in this range: List, Noren, Hostler. You can pretty much assume anybody else here is a fade.
I like it.
Hogard, man.
Well, I
Hogard
got a couple
brothers.
people that I have scoring more than Alex Noren at a much reduced price. So we've got a couple of guys here. Christian Gesundheit. We've got him. We've got Adam Svensson, who has won us some money earlier in the season.
Yep.
And a guy we haven't talked about all year at all, Taylor Pendrith.
Yeah, Pendrith is a guy that I sort of became a little more interested in late last week, despite his crazy elevated price. Even though that was shaky, like his game does suit this course pretty well. So as a fade, as a pivot play, super low owned here. A lot of guys are going to be on Hoagie just above him. I don't mind Svensson there, but at 12, 13% ownership, Bezidenhout about the same ownership. You got to find some pivots, and I think right there between them, like Olesen and Pendrith, right up in that top of the 8 or 7K range. Those are the guys that I'm looking at. I'm a little more interested in. There is one more down towards the middle to the low end of the 7K range. Can you guess it, buddy?
I'm going to guess somebody who's dead to me.
You're thinking EVR, aren't you?
I was thinking EVR.
Okay. Yeah, EVR is not a guy I'm looking at this week.
Good.
He played fairly well last week until the end,
Okay.
but he faded. I'm actually looking at Lucas Glover.
All right, fair. Yeah.
So he hasn't played as well of late, but he flashed some very, very good putting towards the end of last season. And he's a great ball striker. Tee to green. He's going to hit a lot of fairways, hit a lot of greens. He's a guy that I think you can bank on making the cut here at 7,100. And if you're playing Rory, which I am up there at 12-2, you got to have some guys down here that you are confident will be there for you and get you that 6 out of 6. So that's my guy.
Fair enough. Well, I think I got to start my lineup with Rory and Cole. So I might have to go a little lower even. And I got a guy who, we faded last week properly in Thomas Detry, right? 6,900 though. 6,900. Okay, he bombed last week, but man, he has been on fire for me. He's been in all my lineups until last week. I think I got to stick with him. And then also right there in the 6K range, who flashed pretty good briefly the last couple of weeks, Austin Eckroat.
Yeah, so if you do start with Rory and Cole, you got to get pretty creative here down at the bottom. So there are some guys that look pretty enticing down here. Eckroat is not one of the guys that I'm on. I think Detry feels like that slight road favorite where you're like, well, they're so much better than that team in like football or basketball.
I don't know, man. 5% owned. He's had a really nice year except for last week.
They're trying to lure you in, buddy.
I'm going to take the bait. 6,900 is worth the bait.
The bait that I'm taking down here at the top of the 6K range is going to be Ben Griffin. So I think his game suits this course. I think he's the kind of guy that's going to go out there and not get mentally rattled. I'm seeing Carson Young is looking very highly owned too at 8.2. That is going to be an auto fade for me. The this is one of the least predictable weeks on tour. It's right there with kind of the Players' Championship and some of these more difficult events. All the signs can point to a guy. You're like, oh, everything's lining up for him. He's got great course history. He's been playing well, and he'll just bomb. A couple shots offline early in the week, and you're making a couple doubles. I just think Ben Griffin's a very steady sort of personality. He's not going to go too high or too low. Won't get discouraged if he starts rocky, and
Fair enough.
Crap himself if he gets too good off the start.
What about Wu or you? Any interest there?
Not in you. He's a little too erratic off the tee. Brandon Wu, I mean, it's crazy looking at him and going 66. He was, 93 last week or something? It's
right.
A huge, huge drop in price. But I think that one is going to lure some people in as well. Not a guy I'm interested in either one of those guys.
All right. Well, you know that I love my leverage scoring, right? My the highest leverage on the week, Kyung-Hoon Lee, and sitting at 1% owned at 6,300.
Yeah, I'm in. The course suits him very well. If his ownership's going to be that low, he's the guy we were interested in last week, and he disappointed. Well, at least I was interested in him, but for the same reasons, with that ownership percentage, 6,300, I think he gives you a decent shot at a top 20, top 30. And if you need some guys to give you value down here, he's definitely one of them. Another one that shocked me to see him this low is Chan Kim. He popped last week, played very, very well, was not quite in contention because of the way Valimaki and Knapp ran away with it. But he was right there for top 10 and played very steady golf all week. Putted better than usual, but still a guy at that price, and he's not popping all that much on ownership. I'll take Chan Kim at a projected 4% at 62, and that guy can make some birdies when he gets it rolling.
Fair enough. All right, Adam, I have to sign out of here. So we're going to do what we always do. Let's take Rory out of the conversation because he's a play, okay? If you don't play Rory or you want to play Stars and Scrubs, who's your next high-end guy besides Rory this week?
Outside of Rory, for me, it's got to be Eric Cole. Like we said, the guy has been so steady. His ownership is going to be high, not as high as Rory's, but I think he's a great bet to finish top 10 this week. His game suits this course very well. He finished second to Chris Kirk last year, kind of bursting onto the scenes, and just hasn't looked back. I think he used that to catapult him into a great season last year, and he's continued to ride that into this season. So very impressed with him. It's a great course for his type of game. He's the guy. I can't look anywhere else but him.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to copycat with you. I'm not even going to take anybody different up there. I'll go first in the next range. I think I brought it up pre-show and I brought it up during show. Bo Hostler is my next guy in the medium range. How about you?
Yeah, I like Bo as well, but there's no way I'm going to let myself double up with you just in case of the crazy embarrassment we would have to feel were that to happen, were them to both bomb. But what I do like here at the top of the 7 is Thorborn Olesen at 5%. He's at 7,700. Has the game, the pedigree to come out here and contend, so that's where I'm going.
All right, fair enough. And you already know where I'm going with my ultra pick. I'm going KH Lee for my ultra low pick. Who do you like down low, buddy?
KH Lee. I don't mind that at all. I am going to go to a guy who we talked about a moment ago. I'm going to stick with Mr. Chan Kim. I like the coach he works with, Dana Dahlquist. I think he's really starting to come into his own, and that price is just too low. It's just too low. I don't care if he's 6% and he's a super cheap guy. I'm differentiating up top, and I'm going with him as a lock value play.
Well, I really appreciate Adam. Thanks for doing this last minute and with me on the road. Hopefully, I'm back in the green screens again. It's been a good season for me so far. So,
yeah, I think it has definitely. Our shows have been paying off for you at least, and me less so. But I'll keep trying to feed you. I'll let you know what happens with Luke List. I think we got some good targets identified, and go into Target and grab yourself some goodies.
Absolutely love it. All right, for Danger and Adam with drroto.com, make sure you're checking out our webpage. We've got an article breakdown by Alicia Hunt every week on the PGA as well. And, of course, our PGA cheat sheet. If you're a member, you can get a hold of, I don't know, what is there, 5 of us that put in our favorite picks of the week every week?
5 or 6.
Go check out drroto.com. And until we meet again, friends, we'll talk to you later. See ya.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.